9 hikers set off on a daring adventure in the frozen wilderness of Siberia, but they never returned. When rescuers finally reached their campsite, they were shocked by what they saw. A tent slashed open from the inside, belongings scattered everywhere, and no sign of the hikers. The mystery deepened when they found the bodies, some half-naked and others with horrific injuries miles away from the tent. And the most chilling discovery of all, some of the clothes were radioactive. The Soviet authorities quickly closed the case, blaming an unknown compelling force for the tragedy. But what really happened to the Dyatlov group? Was it a natural disaster, a military experiment, or something more sinister? The truth may never be known, but the theories are endless. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass incident, one of the most baffling and terrifying mysteries of all time. What kind of force could cause such severe injuries without leaving any external marks on the bodies? Why were some of the clothes radioactive, and where did they come from? What did the Soviet authorities try to hide from the public, and what evidence did they tamper with? Tag along to find out more. The search party was horrified by what they found on the slope. 2 hikers, Yuri Krivonishenko and Yuri Doroshenko, both in their early 20s, lay dead at the forest edge, 1.5 kilometers from their tent. They were barely clothed and frozen to death. But something else was even more strange. A nearby tree had its branches snapped off 5 meters high. Did they climb it to look for help, or to flee from danger, and why did they have burns on their hands? 3 more corpses, Igor Dyatlov, Zenaida Kolmogorova, and Rostom Slobodin, were scattered between the forest and the tent. They also succumbed to the cold, but Rustam had a small fracture in his skull. The fate of the other 4 hikers remained unknown for months, until the snow melted and exposed their bodies. What the searchers saw next was horrifying. All 4 were in a ravine, submerged in a stream of water. They had suffered terrible injuries. Nikolai Thibault Brignoles had a smashed skull. Lyudmila Dubinina, the youngest of the group, and Semyon Zolotaryov, the oldest, had crushed ribs and chests. Lyudmila Dubinina, merely 20 years old, was the youngest in the group. They were also missing their eyes. And Lyudmila's tongue was ripped out. Alexander Kolivatov's neck was twisted, and his eyebrows were gone. A doctor who examined the bodies said they were hit by something as powerful as a car crash, according to leaked documents. The Soviet Union ruled that the hikers were killed by an insurmountable force of nature. The case was closed and classified, like most things in Soviet-era Russia, but the mystery remained unsolved. What or who killed the hikers? Some experts said it was an avalanche, but the evidence didn't add up. The place where they set up the tent was not prone to avalanches, and there were no signs of an avalanche around the deserted tent. Things weren't adding up at all. What happened to them remains one of the most baffling mysteries of all time. Did they encounter a deadly creature, a secret weapon, or a freak accident? The evidence is shocking, disturbing, and contradictory. You won't believe some of the theories that have been proposed to explain their fate. Some people think they were abducted by aliens, attacked by a yeti, or crushed by a gravity anomaly. But these are the least plausible explanations. There are more realistic ones, but they are still hard to believe. One journalist claims they were killed by local hunters on mushrooms. Another suggests they turned on each other in a violent rage. However, the autopsy reports show that their injuries were too severe to be caused by humans. Could they have been caught in the crossfire of a covert military operation? Some say the Soviet Union was testing radioactive or explosive weapons in the area, and the hikers were collateral damage. Some of their bodies had burns and radiation traces, but others argue that these could have been caused by natural factors such as trying to light a fire or using gas lanterns. One of the survivors, Yuri Yudin, was convinced that his friends were killed by parachute mines, which can cause internal bleeding and organ damage. Yuri Yudin was the only one who lived to tell the tale. He had to turn back due to health problems, and he never saw his friends again. He spent the rest of his life trying to find out the truth. He was not alone. Many others have been fascinated and haunted by the Daytlov Pass incident. Some have even risked their lives to visit the site and look for clues. But now, 2 Swiss scientists claim they have solved the mystery once and for all. They used computer simulations and newly released documents to test the most likely scenario: an avalanche. But how could an avalanche happen on such a gentle slope? And why did the hikers cut their tent and run away in the middle of the night? After a 2021 study, Kholat Syakhl was visited by 3 more expeditions, which confirmed that the area was highly prone to avalanches and that the slopes where the Dyatlov camp was set up were steep enough to trigger avalanches. In fact, 2 new slab avalanches were seen on a January 2022 expedition under conditions similar to those on the night of February 1st, 1959, when the tragedy happened. Jordi Hendricks, Chief Scientific Advisor for Antarctica, New Zealand, and former director of the Snow and Avalanche Lab at Montana State University, who was not part of the current research, has always thought that an avalanche was the most likely cause of the Daytlov Pass incident, but he was not sure that Kholat Syakhl was a place where avalanches could happen. He says the team's simulations have now recreated the fatal night with a new level of accuracy. The way they've demonstrated that with their equations based on evidence seems very solid, Hendricks says. It's amazing how new science advances in the avalanche field can reveal new insights on these old mysteries. It's somewhat unexpected that such a small avalanche could inflict such severe injuries, says Jim McElwain, a geohazards expert at Durham University in England who was not involved with the study. He thinks that the snow block would have to be very hard and fast to do that. Freddie Wilkinson, a professional mountain climber and guide who is not part of the work, says that it's completely possible that such harmless-sounding slabs could cause serious bodily damage. Some slabs can be very hard, and it's very believable that they can cause blunt trauma injuries, he says. I'm totally sure that the disaster was the result of wind and snow accumulation, and the fact that they set up camp in the shelter of a ridge. Wilkinson adds, I've made this mistake in my mountaineering career more than once. During an expedition to Antarctica in 2012, tents belonging to Wilkinson's team were placed inside a ring of snow walls they made to deflect the wind. Coming back to camp after 3 days, his team found that 2 tents hidden in the wind-protected wall were totally buried. The avalanche that seems to have happened on February 1st, 1959 on Kholat Syakhl was an extremely rare type of event. But rare events do happen, and this one could have only happened at that exact spot at that exact time during that one very cold night. Most of the 9 who died on Kholat Syakhl died of hypothermia, while others may have died from their injuries. The state of undress some were found in is still puzzling, as are reports that say some of the bodies had traces of radioactivity, which may be a result of thorium in camping lanterns. Perhaps they had no time to grab their gear or clothes when the snow slab crashed into their tent. They ran for their lives into the dark forest, hoping to find shelter and warmth. But they soon realized they were doomed. They couldn't start a fire or find their way back. They lost each other in the blizzard and froze to death. The last 4 hikers stumbled into a ravine and met a gruesome end. Their bodies were either mutilated by animals or water. However, not everyone agrees with this explanation. Many people think that the hikers were killed by a different kind of force, a parachute mine. This is a type of explosive device that is dropped from a plane and detonates in midair, creating a powerful shockwave. This theory also explains why the hikers were found in different locations and why some had strange injuries, such as missing eyes and tongues. The blast could have thrown them around and exposed them to the elements. Some of them could have been hit by shrapnel or debris from the mine. So what do you think? Was it an avalanche or a parachute mine that killed the hikers, or was it something else entirely? This is the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed learning about the Dyatlov Pass incident, one of the most mysterious and tragic events in Russian history. What do you think of the new research that suggests an unusual avalanche was the cause of the hikers' deaths? Do you agree with this explanation, or do you have another theory? Share your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Mystery, where we explore history's most captivating mysteries. Thanks for watching.